I mean, thank you for letting me come on with you, man. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. Of course.
I needed to be. You know what? I'm not gonna put it on YouTube. I'm gonna put it on Rockfin. The hell is wrong with me?
What you mean? Oh, for your background?
No, just so I can. I always like look at the chats and stuff. And
oh yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
What's going on, people? We are live right now on Rockfin and on YouTube. I got my guy Pasta Jardula, last minute guess. That's exciting.
Niko, I got a question.
I got answers.
Are the Knicks for real?
Man,
the Knicks for real?
You didn't see how we handed the Celtics their ass?
We did, but then we just held off against Orlando. But don't get me wrong. I mean, that's a team that usually would lose that game. The way they're coming in now with all these young kids, building from the ground up.
Okay, let me tell you before we even get started, because I don't want to go into this right now. But we're real. We're so real that although, I mean, they like were missing Tatum, obviously. But, like, I would say that Jaylen Brown's probably better than just about everybody on the Knicks. But, like, we were missing Burke. And Burke is our second leading scorer, number one three-point shooter, number one three-point shooting percentage, and best free throw shooter on the team. And, like, top two in defense on the team. So, like, even with us missing our second best, or some would argue our best player, and definitely our super six, we still beat both the Magic. Magic fully loaded. Well, no, because they just lost Markelle Fultz. But I don't consider that big of a deal.
Since they lost him, they've been on a downslide. The same.
It's kind of crazy, right?
No. Because Fultz is good. He just needed to get in the system that will work for him.
Yeah, and one that would let him actually recover without trying to rush him into the situation. Like especially because of the Ben Simmons situation, like they got both of them. And when they realized that Ben Simmons was going to be a point guard, it was over. It was like 6'10". I mean, both of them not shooting like that, so I might as well go with the 6'10" guy at that point. But
let me answer your question. I know you're dying to ask. Yes, the Islanders are for real too. Hockey is back. Islanders are 2-1. I know you're interested, baby. I'm gonna get you a nice Islanders jersey, Niko. Come on.
Nobody's that concerned about that. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Nobody.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Not even
you're wrong. Mike Fagan says go Sixers.
The Nets are a bunch of cheaters.
Why are they cheating?
Joking last night about the Nets, man. Just like I'm like, so they're just not gonna play defense. So they literally committed to, we're just gonna score more points than you. You can score, but like you can't stop us from scoring, and we can like KD and Harden look crazy, and they didn't even look like a good they didn't even play well yesterday. Like if you watch the game, they don't have good chemistry. They're playing ISO like hell, but like you can only play one-on-one with them because if you're double one, then you're screwed by the other guy. So
yeah, I know. Well, that's going to sell a lot of jerseys, right? People who put the ball in the bucket, flashy, whatnot. I mean, Houston. How long have they played their game where they're just offense? It never works, but you sell a lot of jerseys and you sell out the arenas when COVID's gone.
Listen, New Yorkers love offense.
Hey, Niko.
Historically, what's up?
Let me tell you something, though. I don't know. Another thing while we're on the sports tip, the New York Mets making that trade for one of the best players in baseball, one of the best shortstops in Dore. New owner, Mr. Cohen, goes, oh, I'm going to show you what it's all about. He lost out on getting the Dodgers when he was outbid by the Magic Johnson group, and he lost out, Mr. Cohen, on getting the Dodgers. So he came back with the Mets.
Cohen lost out to Magic Johnson?
Exactly.
Can't believe that. I honestly can't believe that. That should be put in Black History Month. Honestly.
It should be. Well, Magic Johnson got a team of people. He knew how to work it.
Hey.
And he's like, I'll be the front man. I'll be the mouth. You guys lay those coins down.
I'm sure a guy named Cohen got a team of people too. Okay.
He didn't have Magic's mouth.
So
he didn't have Magic's mouth.
Give some shout outs. Who we got in the chat? We got Looney by Nature, President Jafar, Anthony, Marty. Got premium guy in here, Marty. I appreciate you guys. Deadhead 83, Russian bot. What's going on? We have an exciting show for you today. It was supposed to be just me today, but Pasta has decided to grace us with his presence. So before we get started with this show, how are you doing, Pasta?
I'm doing good. I mean, thank you for letting me come on today. We were supposed to have Whitney Webb, but we had to reschedule. And I had so much to say and so much to talk about. If you haven't had Whitney Webb on, ladies and gentlemen, or haven't seen her, go see her. She is amazing. Some people call her the Oracle. Some people call her today's modern day Rasputin. They say she's the one who exposed the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. I just call her Whitney Webb, but she is amazing, and she gives so much nuance to what's going on, and especially after our whole this whole election thing where we're getting attacked for saying these elections are fugazi. I mean, she goes into the deep nuance of what's going on and what the elites are trying to do. So I needed to come on today, and thank you for letting me be here because it's really therapy. I'm going to call you Dr. Niko today.
You know, it's funny. Me and Steve always joking about being the unofficial therapist of, like, you know, the actual left. Mike Fagan, what's going on? See you on Rockfin, my guy. Enough with that 76ers talk, though. We're not. First of all,
the Flyers too.
76ers. He actually said Flyers. Yeah. But it's funny because I'm like 76ers fan. Y'all love 76ers until they do something y'all don't like, and then y'all immediately turn on y'all fans, or on y'all players. Every time. It's hilarious to watch. I'm not gonna lie. New York fans, we loyal to a fault. We ride out for our trash players. Like we grew up together. So for the first segment, man, yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, and as expected, we saw a bunch of hypocritical tweets and quotes being put out by neoliberals and neocons alike. But I like to point out neoliberals because, you know, a lot of them are the ones who have been relying on identity politics to propel them into this I guess a winning battle of a culture war that's going on, even though I feel like we're on the outside of it. But they you know, they've been able to play identity politics. And I even saw a photo of someone trying to compare Martin Luther King to Kamala Harris. It was disgusting, I'm not gonna lie. But I didn't actually do a video yesterday because I didn't want it to get buried amongst all the neoliberal jargon. I feel like today is a good day to go back and re-examine exactly what Martin Luther King stood for, and how anyone uplifting somebody like Joe Biden, or even really voting for him, like boldly, because I know some people like want to announce it like it makes them better people. You're hypocritical. You shouldn't be quoting Martin Luther King. Stop pretending like his legacy meant anything to you, other than other than for purposes of your own branding, or to appear as if you are more woke than you are. I wanted to point really quick to this article in the Gazette, where it just talked briefly about some of the things that Martin Luther King went through on behalf of the state. Okay. In 1965, at the height of King's crusade, his critics, who were many, called him a quote-unquote communist. Be sure of this. Getting slandered with inaccurate names is part of the price, yesterday and today, for battling for change in America. Lerone Martin, a professor at Washington University in St. Louis, is finishing a book that reveals how the FBI smeared King as a communist. You can claim someone as a communist, and that means they are anti-America, and you can completely write their claims as anti-American, Martin says by phone from his home. So basically he was giving a, just a description of why they called him a communist. It had nothing to do with his economics beliefs, had nothing to do with his social beliefs. It was merely because he was an impactful figure who was trying to push the country left on civil rights issues, and our country was indeed, and largely still is, ran by white supremacists. And because they could not beat him on the merits of his words, they had to smear him with using McCarthy smears. And Pasta, I would like to get your read on this, because right now, once again, we were seeing those same people who engage in neo-McCarthy smears throw around MLK's name as if they actually stood for or understood what he went through.
Yeah, we saw those tweets out there yesterday. Really disturbing. You know what I'm saying? Once again, trying to align Martin Luther King with the neoliberals, and that's exactly what he was fighting against. You know what I'm saying? Him and Malcolm X always talk about watch out for the white liberal man. You know what I'm saying? That's the sneaky one. But, I find it interesting, too, as well, when we keep on talking about the whole communist thing, whatnot, and it's not about, when a lot of these people like Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King, talked about communism, it was about their economics, about the workers having more rights. It really had nothing to do with the authoritarian part or just one party making a decision over the other. And it's very interesting to see the neo-McCarthy smear party try to align themselves with them. I even saw one of the Avengers, I don't like the Hulk anymore, saying some stuff as...
Man, broke my heart.
I know, dude, but I mean, like, these people are, and the whole questioning of the elections thing is still going on. You know what I'm saying? And if you question the elections, you're a domestic terrorist. And if you question this, you're a domestic terrorist. Same thing the right did, too, as well. Their whole fearfulness of communism. They're trying to turn this into a communism state. But people who tear down statues are domestic terrorists and Antifa terrorists. It's like both sides are pitted against each other. And great people like Martin Luther King were the ones who said, They sifted out all the bullshit on top and said that we have to come together as Americans, as people. Remember, they killed him after the Poor People's Campaign when he started bringing people together, and they were like, oh, wait, what's going on? And I also want to point out, too, as well, the lack of nuance and the lack of knowledge from the left when it comes to foreign policy is disgusting. Martin Luther King spoke about imperialism beyond Vietnam, okay? Yeah. And as he started getting it, and he used to say, we are intertwined with our foreign policy. What we do over there reflects how we are over here. And people didn't pay attention to that. So it's really kind of crazy yesterday seeing a lot of these neoliberals try to attach themselves as the party of Martin Luther King Jr. and people on the right, Republicans who oppose elections, they're the enemy. So it was a very sad day seeing a lot of that stuff yesterday too as well.
In a tweet that that Paz is referring to is Mark, what's his name?
Mark Ruffalo.
No, the guy who originally tweeted, Alex Rubinstein or something like that.
Kyle Griffin.
There you go. It was Kyle Griffin. Kyle Griffin tweets out, the same Republicans who were challenging the election are now celebrating Martin Luther King Day. And I'm like, what? And then Mark Ruffalo quote tweeted him, basically concurring with what he is saying. Yeah, I'm like, what does that have to do with MLK at all?
Exactly.
And if you asked MLK, he would probably say that we absolutely do not have secure elections, and that this is a problem that is non-unique on the left or the right. For Democrats or Republicans. He would say that both parties are guilty of using his name in vain and for their own personal benefit, while constantly ignoring the principles that he espoused. That's exactly what he would say. And he would probably be more radical today than he was before, given, once again, just how they tried to whitewash, not just him, but really they tried to whitewash everybody. Martin Luther King, even JFK, Malcolm X. They don't even want to teach you about Fred Hampton. They never talk about, things like Black Wall Street. That's a new phenomenon, like that people are actually discussing that. Or the Wilmington Massacre. Kyle and Crystal's show actually brought that up. They said they didn't know about it. The only reason I knew about it is because I lived in North Carolina and I went to a history museum, and that's the only place I ever saw it talked about. So Martin Luther King would probably be more radical today than he was in the past. And it is very, very, it's disgusting, right? Our government murdered Martin Luther King. They were found guilty in a court of law for doing so. The disdain for Martin Luther King was prevalent on both sides. And he himself made it clear who he felt was actually the biggest obstacle. For everybody that likes to attack me or Fiorello or Pasta or all these or other people of color who are trying to explain to y'all why we have to make sure we hold the Democratic Party accountable, Martin Luther King explained it well. He basically said that white moderates are the biggest obstacle to true equity and equality in this country. Yeah. He said that.
Because they are the duped. They are the confused. They are the ones that have been herded into the party thinking that they're there with their virtuality code, their virtuous, their virtue signaling of sorts, that they're doing the right thing, that it's okay to censor other people or shut them down because they're doing it for a good cause. No, they're the ones who are being duped. You know what I'm saying? Keeping everybody separated, whatnot. And let me tell you something. The deep state or the elites or whoever's running this whole goddamn thing, they really learned from Martin Luther King Jr., Fred Hampton, and Malcolm X. By the way, our government assassinated all of them, right? I mean, we know for sure for MLK and Fred Hampton, the way the FBI gave up the blueprints to the Chicago Police Department to go up there and execute that man at 21. They've learned, though. And they've learned by controlling the media, making sure figureheads like that get pushed down below, and you don't hear them, you don't see them. They're not promoted, they're not hired, they're demonetized. They're making sure voices like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Fred Hampton never see the light of day. And they promote other people in their places because it's not just about censoring somebody from keeping them quiet. It's making sure that their voice goes forward. The elites, the mainstream, whatever you want to call it nowadays. And it's sickening to see these people on TV talking about Trumpers needing to be reprogrammed. Yes. I mean, it's a scary point of view, but it all comes down to they learn they ain't going to let another Malcolm X get out there. You know about Hawk Newsom. I talk about him all the time, right? The old Black Lives Matter in New York who walked into a Trump rally with 6 activists. They let him speak and everybody was hugging and chanting USA together. This type of solution is to bring people together. Well, Black Lives Matter, the leadership at top removed his ass because they were told to remove his ass or they would get their funding cut. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want voices like that moving forward who bring people together.
Yeah. There's so many voices of divisiveness out there. Someone who actually advocates to bring people together and can change hearts and minds. They are a problem to an economic ecosystem that has basically profited off of divisiveness, right? So it's like, yeah, the elites don't want us to come together because then, of course, we'll coalesce and realize it was actually them that have caused all these problems. But also, there is a whole there's a whole ecosystem dedicated to divisiveness. When you're looking at people like TYT, Sam Cedar, Emma Vigilant, they're just a group like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. These programs are dedicated to making you fear and hate and blame the other side, rather than saying, well, hold on, how can I change anyone's mind if I'm not talking to them? Because like this idea, by the way, that black people should never talk to a white supremacist ever, which by the way, that's stupid. Like, once again, you can't change anybody's heart or mind by never communicating with them and then just pretending like they don't exist. Like it's dumb, but it's privilege. Because you mostly see white people saying this, by the way. This white, once again, these latte liberals.
Like a black man shouldn't go on OAN and talk about reparations.
Because they have the privilege. They say,
Niko, how dare you? And you took a picture with Jack Prosabiak? How dare you, Niko?
Well,
but I don't understand that. Listen.
Well, hold on. I'm saying they're saying you can't align with the other side. Motherfucker, we're 13% of the population in this country. You think we get anything done by pretending like the other side doesn't exist? Like, we don't have that. We don't have the, like, there are more Hispanics than like African-American black people. Okay. and it's way more actually, because that's just black people. We're 13%. So that's not even including, that's including the black Latino community. Okay. So like, we don't have this time to play this game of, I don't like what they said and they make me uncomfortable, and therefore I'm going to pretend like they don't exist, even if it stops me from actually achieving true equity. Fred Hampton rejected this notion. Martin Luther King rejected this notion. Many of the great black activists rejected this notion because they understood this as well. Let me get some of these super chats, Pops, and I'll let you wrap up that segment. Emblem Fate. I found neoliberals more racist than the KKK. They erased our history, killed our leaders. Lumumba and replaced, ex-Lumumba and replaced and erased them with neoliberal and colonialism. I mean, to be honest with you, though, that's kind of like a neoliberal and neocon thing. But I would say that personally, I've experienced more racism from neoliberals, like directly, and neo-progressives too. Marty Castle, thank you for the super chat. I am of the firm belief that if we, the people, initiate a sit-in strike for Biden's first 100 days, we'll bring light to the issues of that our countries face today. If we can get some coverage, I know Sam Cedar might not like it because Jimmy's mean. And then Brian Dutch on Rockman.
Brian Deutsch.
Appreciate you. Good to listen to you both. Much appreciated. Glad you're here. Shout out to everybody on the Rockfin team. But go ahead, Pasta. What you want to say to finish up that segment?
That's Brian Deutsch. He was going to be one of the original members of the Combo Couch before we even had the name. He sat down with us. He's a DP. He's a great guy. He couldn't do it because he had his work. He was so committed to his work. Me and Fiorello, we went off and did our own thing, but we got a lot of advice and help from Brian Deutsch, and now he's all about the Rockfin, and he's giving love, and I want to say thank you to Brian Deutsch. But Niko, I just want to close out this subject by saying a few things too as well. I don't get as mad sometimes after when it comes to a lot of these neoliberals, these white liberals, these men, who have this kind of like white savior, white knight complex and stuff like that. There's a lot of white guilt there. There's a lot of white guilt. They didn't grow up with people of color as friends, I think, a lot of them. So what they think they are doing is right, but it's goddamn wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel sorry for a lot of them because they don't know. They don't understand. And they think what they're doing is the right thing to do. They think they're standing up against racism by treating people of color differently. You know what I'm saying? Where I learned that at a young age, like, hey, man, I'm you, you're me. You don't treat me differently. We judge each other by our content and our character, not by the color of our skin. So it was, being an Italian kid growing up in South Florida, it was a little bit different, and I had a little different understanding. I see a lot of these people that have this white savior complex, these white knights, they just never grew up with people of color, I think, and they think they're doing the right thing.
I feel like you're giving a lot of these people more the benefit of the doubt. See, I used to feel the same way, like they weren't doing this on purpose or maliciously, but recent events have convinced me basically that these people they're very aware of what they're doing, and because of like some of the vitriol that I've experienced, or that Fiorella's experienced, or Brianna Joy Gray's experience, we literally will have white people telling us that we are the problem and we are perpetuating white supremacy, because we won't fall in line with literal white supremacists on the left or in the Democratic Party. And so, and they are doing this, I mean, literally there were people defending a racist because they had some personal beef with me. Like, and the conversation where they were defending the racist was about racism and white supremacy. And they dead ass decided, I'm going to attack this black person because he won't agree with me and he won't just bow down to the Democratic Party like I will. That, like, so the quote unquote white saviorism, I don't believe that they think that they're doing the right thing. They're just trying to make it look like they're doing the right thing because they want the credit. They want to be patted on the back. They want to be considered woke. They want the jobs that come with that, you know, be looking like you're holier than thou. Like, I don't believe it's by accident. I don't think that there are some cases. There are very rare cases where somebody thinks that they're doing the right thing.
I think I'm kind of referring to the people that I know, that we know, that I like and stuff and whatnot. And, you know, I'm not going to name names and stuff. But you know what, Niko? I'm going to bring this up at the next white guys meeting. I'm going to let them know. Straighten this shit out. They got to stop this shit.
I appreciate that, man. So speaking of working with the other side to bring people over into the light, I'm going to show everybody this clip really quick of Jimmy Dore, who convinced Tucker Carlson that Assange should be pardoned. Couldn't believe it, but it happened. So let me pull up this clip for you guys while Pasta does his
when you get it on,
Paz, you already saw the clip, right? I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it, but you already saw the clip, though.
Yeah, we did a show on it, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
We put it on your network.
That's true.
You got a big video out there.
I forgot. Yeah, you did it. I think that's how I first heard about it. Jackson did a good video on this, by the way, guys. Y'all should go check it out.
Jackson Hinkle?
Yeah, man. Jackson's been doing some great work.
Admitting that his campaign of censorship against Donald Trump really applies to you, and it's just the beginning. He made that clear in this video for Project Veritas.
Let me know if y'all can hear this. I want to make sure. Oh no, y'all can't hear it. Hold on, people.
Let me know when I'm off screen.
Oh, you're off screen. You're good.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
I want to make sure that y'all can actually hear this. Huh? I know.
Well, it makes me feel really uncomfortable that this new censorship push is coming from the left, just like I warned the left when they were pushing.
Oh, that's why.
Conspiracy theories called Russiagate and McCarthy smearing
There
all
we
their
go.
political enemies.
So let me go
of course,
ahead and
whenever you do
rewind that for
McCarthy
y'all.
smearing or Russiagating or things like that, you're like,
Because y'all need to hear all this. This whole segment is actually pretty crazy. By the way, they'll be able to hear you, Pasta.
Really applies to
just
you,
not to you.
and it's just the beginning. He made that clear in this video from Project Veritas.
We are focused on one account right now, but this is going to be much bigger than just one account, and it's going to go on for much longer than
You keep
just this
popping
day,
me up.
this week. I don't believe this is going away anytime soon, and the moves that we're making today around QAnon, for instance, is one such example of a much broader approach that we should be looking at and going deeper on.
This is going to be much bigger than just one account. Now, that may be of concern to Jimmy Dore, host of the Jimmy Dore Show. His views are on the opposite end from Donald Trump, but his views are still hated by a lot of the people in charge. So, Jimmy Dore, how does this make you feel?
well, it makes me feel really uncomfortable that this new censorship push is coming from the left, just like I warned the left when they were pushing evidence-free conspiracy theories called Russiagate and McCarthy smearing all their political enemies, that, of course, whenever you do McCarthy smearing or Russiagating or things like that, you're propping up the surveillance state, you're propping up the establishment, and they're going to come back to bite you. And that's exactly what happened with Bernie Sanders. He got caught up with doing Russiagate, and, of course, they smashed his campaign by Russiagating him, saying that Russia was supporting him. Exactly exactly. So this scares me because it seems like on the left, can I just tell you, the Capitol riot did not happen because we didn't have enough censorship. That is a ridiculous idea, okay? Silicon Valley has turned into an extension of the Democratic Party. Glenn Greenwald just experienced that, right? I mean, what is going on right now is crazy. So just freedom of speech is the first in the Bill of Rights because it's important, because popular speech doesn't need protecting. It's unpopular speech that needs protecting. That's why it's first. The war on terror was already used to take away our free speech rights, to take away our right of protection from invasive searches from the government. We live in a surveillance state, and now they're going to use this even more. Joe Biden has already said he's going to use this. They're using it as a domestic terrorism threat. And let me just tell you something. They never we know who gets censored. People who are pro-war never get censored. People who tell the truth about war get censored. That's why I'm being censored. That's why my channel gets throttled. That's why my so this is I just lost 4,000 Twitter followers for no reason. So I don't understand how the left has to keep relearning this over and over and over. And you know, the first person to be deplatformed was WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. And this would be a great way for Donald Trump to stick the thumb back in the eye of these people, is to pardon Julian Assange. If he knows what's good for freedom of speech and freedom of the press, he should take this moment and pardon Julian Assange.
I didn't used to think that, and I totally agree with it, partly because you convinced me through the force of your argument. I think that's absolutely right. So I hope you will come back. Yeah, please.
Can I just say, Tucker, this all started with the failure of neoliberalism. Why did Donald Trump get elected? So they couldn't ever come to terms with why he got elected. So it was corporate lefty journalists who pressured social media outlets to start censoring people who weren't adhering to this official narrative. And that's what's going on.
All right. So first of all, let's take a second to laugh about the fact that Jimmy has one volume and it's hilarious. He has one volume, man. But in all seriousness, I mean, there are a lot of moving parts here. First, for everybody who swears that it's worthless to go on Tucker Carlson, even though, you know, they'll cheer when somebody like Nomiki goes on, you know, but that's a whole different conversation. Tucker just admitted to millions and millions of people, you, Jimmy Dore, the loud jagoff comedian lefty, you've convinced me that Assange should absolutely be pardoned. That wouldn't have happened if Jimmy didn't go on Tucker's show. So I'm confused so do y'all not want these people to do better, or do we want these people to do better so that we can focus on the issues and conquer the issues that are most challenging? That's what my concern is. But what was your takeaway from that interview?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of people on the left don't like Assange anyways. The political left, that is, I guess. I don't know what left.
All of a sudden. Yeah,
I mean, they, Democratic people in the Democratic Party. Remember, he exposed them through WikiLeaks, so they're still pissed at him and they still don't like him. And all the minions within the Democratic Party that are left behind, the ones who didn't leave, they're anti-Assange anyways. Secondly, I think it speaks volume to what he's doing. I always love seeing stuff like this, okay? I don't agree with Tucker on a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? However, I know what it's like just recently to be attacked for going and trying to reach across the other aisle. That's what we should be doing. What you did when you went on OAN to talk about reparations on a show that most people watching are going to go, reparations? Pfft, hell no. You know what I'm saying? We have to talk to people on the other side of our ideologies and stuff. Yesterday somebody took my Parler, copied what I said, and then put it up there. And I was like, fine, show it. I'm glad. I'm happy to be the adult in the room. But it's crazy times we're at right now, Niko, when people are just so damaging. And so this is what's toxic and vile, is when people demean you or attack you for talking to people who they consider to be Nazis, white nationalists, pieces of crap, whatever. It's amazing and it's mind-blowing, and it's one of the most dangerous things we're facing right now, that we're labeling each side domestic terrorists. It's awful. This was great with Jimmy did. My mom called me to tell me he was on.
They're falling into this trap that the right fell into whenever Trump and his neocons began labeling BLM domestic terrorists, right?
Yes.
And we
We're
were,
pulling down
and I was
statues.
saying back then, I'm like, y'all are idiots for falling for this because they're just trying to use this to ramp up like the surveillance state and to outlaw any type of pushback. That's what that was for. I was saying that they were trying to use the riots even back then, or the protests, and they were calling them riots and saying that there was property being damaged to a significant degree, even though there really wasn't for the most part for most of the riots. But like where there was property damage and where there was a widespread protest, they immediately started calling them riots and tried to penalize them and call them domestic terrorists. And I was like, they're using this to justify curfew. They're using this to keep y'all in the house. They're using this so that you won't complain whenever they shift that curfew to COVID. Because all of a sudden it went from a protest curfew to a COVID curfew. A lot of people didn't catch that, but I've been saying and now once again, it's upsetting because now you see the right, or the left, is falling for the same exact trap. Anyone who disagrees with me is now a domestic terrorist and an insurrectionist. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, and that's what they've successfully done what they wanted to do. And this Patriot Act 2.0, it's just scary because when Donald Trump was doing it, like we said, for people pulling down statues or people setting, you know what I'm saying? And listen, I've said this before, we've said it on the show, because a lot of these people doing the reporting on what happened in the Capitol and what happened at these rallies or these riots or whatever they want to call them, never really actually go to them. I've gone to a decent amount. My partners have gone to twice as many as me. So we understand what's going on. And we've never seen one Black Lives Matter organizer incite violence, incite vandalism, anything like that. In fact, they've been looked upon by other groups and called too soft and too sensitive for going home at a certain time. But yet, we say they're not monolithic. Somebody comes in the disguising themselves within the group and then starts something. You can't put that on all the Black Lives Matter, just like at the Capitol breach. All these people over here that went in, you can't claim them all as all Trumpers doing that. Mm-hmm. He told them twice in that speech, we're the party of law and order. We're going to march down peacefully. He said it he says it all the time. So they're using these tactics against each other. And this attack right here on Jimmy Dore and Tucker Carlson is it just shows it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these people are attacking him, Niko, I think, for their own self-interest, right? Because they want to hate on Jimmy and they're jealous and they want all the thunder. But the whole mentality that we shouldn't talk to people who think differently than us, it's awful.
I wanna show everybody how Jimmy was attacked. Of course, once again, disingenuously so, by Emma Vigilant. Okay.
Emma.
Once again, what's so bad about it is just the sheer lie, like the whole lie that's involved in this. But it's Emma Vigilant, so we're not surprised. So Emma tried to attack Bree because Bree, decided to delete a tweet because she was trying to stay out of the drama. Now, unfortunately, Emma couldn't just back the fuck up and save herself. She had to try to respond to Bree because I don't know. It's really weird how I feel like Emma is extra bold when it comes to trying to attack Black people and people of color. I feel like that's just it's becoming very normal for her. And so she said this to Emma, or to Bree, since you deleted, what did Bernie Sanders do with his platform on Fox? Because Bree said Bernie went on Fox, which is true. Advocated for Medicare for all. Emma said, what did Jimmy do with his platform on Tucker Carlson tonight? Not one word about Medicare for all from what I saw. Instead, he aided Tucker's narratives. If you find lost footage, let me know. So there are a couple of issues with what Emma just said. Pasta, you want to go ahead and let the people know the first problem with what she said?
The fact that they were talking about censorship and Julian Assange, that they weren't talking about Medicare for all and any stimulus checks, is that the first problem? Because that's the first thing that comes to mind is like, well, they weren't talking about that. They were talking about this. Yeah. But am I missing something?
But there's also the problem of when Jimmy went on Fox News, not even what days before the election, he literally told Trump to pass universal health care. Like he specifically said, pass Medicare for all. He said, give everybody health care and give everybody stimulus checks.
Yeah, I mean, he's been consistent. Is that
a Republican narrative?
No, it's not.
Because she said, "Oh, if you found some lost footage." No, the footage isn't lost. The footage went viral the night that Jimmy went on, and in fact, during the debate, Trump even quoted Jimmy. I can't remember what statement it was, but he actually quoted Jimmy. So, like, yeah, he did say that. But also, like Pasta said, That wasn't the topic. And
It wasn't.
He literally was not giving credence to Tucker's narratives because Tucker had a different narrative in mind, and Jimmy changed his mind, as Tucker just said.
Yeah. I think too that, like, you know, a lot of people like Sarah Palin and Tucker admitting that they were once wrong about this and saying now that they've come around and we should pardon Julian Assange is huge. All right. It gives a lot of people the courage on the right who follow Sarah Palin, who love Sarah Palin and Tucker Carlson, to go, you know what, I can admit I was wrong and say I was wrong. And in fact, when we had gotten to the Capitol and we were starting to live stream and we couldn't live stream, it was so awful. Somebody asked me, what are you doing? What's your channel all about? I explained to them, and I said, I'm an election integrity activist, and welcome to the party when it comes to elections, guys. Talking to a Trumper, I said, I started getting into this seriously in 2016 when the primary was stolen from Bernie Sanders. And the Trump guy looked at me right in the face. He goes, you know something? We didn't say shit when that went down, and we should have. I'm sorry. I just was like, holy shit and stuff like that. And that's what these moments do when you see people like Tucker talk about this. And not for nothing, Tucker, whether you like him or not, has provided a platform for progressives to go on when they can't get on MSNBC, when they can't get on CNN. Glenn Greenwald, Anya Parnell, Max
Mickey's ass went on Fox News, and Emma and
progressives,
TYT and the rest of
progressives, not progressives.
Oh yeah, no. I'm saying, but even no Miki, so even neoliberals have gotten an opportunity to engage with Tucker in some meaningful way. And if I don't remember how I'm not about to watch an interview with Nomiki and Tucker Carlson, but I can imagine Nomiki went on there and used some talking points and went on about her business, and no one attacked her for it. Jimmy literally went on there to advocate for the freedom of a man whose stardom right now is kind of like representative of, or whatever happens to it is representative of what will happen to our free speech and our freedom of the press. Like,
absolutely,
everything happening with Assange will have a direct impact, like, on us as journalists. Like, damn, the rest of the country. Like, even as a journalist, selfishly, you should be like, okay, you know what? I may not like Jimmy, I may not like Tucker, but this was a good idea. This is a good development. But instead, she would rather Nomiki go on there, give a bunch of know-nothing, Bernie go on there, advocate for Medicare for all plan. He probably didn't even fucking read, so that's a whole different conversation. And when Jimmy goes on there, does the exact same things, but is effective in changing Tucker's mind, right? That's the difference between Nomiki and Bernie in this particular scenario, is that when Jimmy goes on there, he actually succeeded in changing Tucker's mind.
No, listen, when any of the independent media leftists went on there, Anya, Max, Glenn Greenwald, Jimmy Dore, they go on there with their ideology to persuade people who think differently to look at their perspective, look at things at their perspective. And it's very, very effective. I watched the interview when Anya Parampal was on there with Tucker, and my mom was like, who is this? And I was explaining who she was. I was with her in person. And when at the very last thing they said what they're trying to do is they're trying to create a working class, an inexpensive immigrant working class for the rich class, it really hit home. And that was like Anya Parampal on with Tucker Carlson, because my mom watches Tucker. You know, she watches Fox News. So when they come on, it's effective. My mom looked at me and she's like, I see what you're talking about with the imperialism and what's going on and maybe the moves that Trump should have pulled. It's like they recognize stuff and they see things. And that is the biggest scare to the elites, right? So that's why you have these people, you have to question, who are they working for? Who's writing their check? Who's spending that moolah for them to get out there and go attack us for talking about the things we talk about, like election integrity and and election rigging, and civil liberties.
And this is the last day. This is the last day Trump has to pardon Julian Assange. It's a big deal right now. Because otherwise he's basically in limbo and nobody is waiting.
They filed their appeal this morning, Niko.
I know. But
they filed the
what's bizarre is, like, this happened 4 days ago or so. But like, I'm like, so hold up, right? You know that this is basically about to be it for Assange. If he can't get this pardon, we don't know what's happening next. Yeah. And so instead of focusing on that, you decide to attack Jimmy and make it about Jimmy and Tucker Carlson and Fox News. That's like, without, mind you, she did very, very well to make sure to not even mention Julian Assange's name in the entire dispute, right? So you're gonna attack Bree for celebrating this. I mean, attack other people for celebrating this. Attack Jimmy for partaking in a interview where he actually convinced Tucker Carlson to support Assange, but then you're not going to mention Assange yourself, and we're supposed to take you seriously as a journalist.
Yeah.
Come on.
And it just makes me wonder, well, where do we fit on this spectrum? We're like above the fray, looking at all this shit going on. We can dip in, we'll get attacked on both sides for either our ideology or our words and calling shit out. You know what I'm saying? It's
Man, I feel like I'm in a perpetual state of shaking my head all the time. Swear to God. Like, that's how I feel, man. It's crazy. And speaking of which, of shaking my damn head, pasta, man. So the other day, there was this journalist who decided to try and get y'all deplatformed. He made calls out, in which, by the way, especially given the context that we have now, those calls to get y'all deplatformed, given what we have actually seen taking place, are even more disgusting. And so yesterday, that journalist got deplatformed. Or not deplatformed, but at least he had to deal with some censorship. So I want to pull up this tweet from our homegirl, Kimber. Shout out to Kimber.
Kimber Maddox, what up?
So I'm gonna pull this up real quick because this is hilarious. Here we go. So Kimber tweeted this out. How it started versus how it's going. So this is the first one. This is from Jordan Sheridan. Every media outlet that pushed the insane election fraud conspiracy for clicks should be taken off the air. They incited a civil war. Bruh, the Karen energy is so much. I can't deal with it. How it's going. Oh, let me X out of here. There we go. So this is how it's going now. Outrageous. Now, Team YouTube just removed status Coup in John Farina's live stream reporting from peaceful Virginia gun rights rally because we think, quote unquote, we think it violates our firearms policy. How are journalists supposed to chronicle history if YouTube and others are outlawing it? Oh God. Well, apparently Jordan has all of a sudden discovered that censorship is bad.
Censorship's a bitch.
Censorship is bad. So he actually went on the Jimmy Dore show yesterday to whine and complain about him being censored. And before we even, so I want to actually, we're going to go back and talk about this too. We're going to look at these tweets. These tweets are fucking ridiculous. I wasn't going to, but now we're going to go through them. So his responses to this bullshit have just been ridiculous. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, matter of fact, the fam did a very good job of encapsulating this. Because, Fee don't do nothing but chill on Twitter all night. So Jordan tweets out this nonsense. Seeing folks citing a tweet from me post-Capitol attack, calling for outlets who basically push election fraud conspiracy and for Trump supporters to stop the steal to be removed as being pro-censorship. No. Now it's being removed. That's funny, Pasta, because when I checked last time, when he made it very clear multiple times in multiple tweets and in multiple statements that he wanted y'all deplatformed. Correct? That's what he said. Right.
He said we should be, anybody who pushed election rigging should be taken off the air.
But he said deplatformed and taken off the air. Not because he
should be taken down.
He's pussyfooting with these words now because all of a sudden it's removed. I said removed. No. You said
but let me tell you something, Niko, too. For context, he immediately, when he said that, when he texted that, he went on a live stream at the Capitol when we were there. He wasn't there. We were there. His cameraman was there. Big ups to Johnny Farina. But he went on, he did a live stream, and he literally was saying, whoever's putting this down, like OAN, Newsmax, Fox, and the Convo Couch, he named us about 5 times. He named Fiorella separately about the whole Clear article she put up about Pennsylvania. Like, he mentioned the fact that we were part of that group that should be taken down.
Oh, he made very clear about, especially with Fiorella, like literally was saying she personally was responsible. Like, it was crazy. Yeah. So then he goes on and says, I also made clear in live streams, I'm against Silicon Valley deciding which hosts and channels are inciting violence or doing illegal things. I've said that in many live streams and other videos. I know nuance isn't popular online, but 2 things can be true. Usually when people say 2 things can be true, whatever I'm about to say is bullshit. But anyway, Media companies and channels with huge platforms and audiences should be held accountable if they are urging their viewers to try and stop an election result they don't like. That is not free speech. I'm sure CNN would say that when you're over here cucking for Bernie. It's inciting paranoia, misinformation, and ultimately people take violent action. What? So what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so what you so all of a sudden he's going into all this detail, which by the way, he might have said that, but once again, this is Jordan before he got censored. Fiorella, the fam, doing a great job capsulating this once again. Jordan, you literally accused us of doing something we did not do. Are you going to own that or not? You accuse us of inciting violence by talking about election fraud and called for us to be deplatformed. Own it, apologize, and move on. But you're doubling down. And this is what she's referring to. Like Jordan's just being Jordan. Constitution does not give TV anchors and YouTube hosts the inalienable right to incite violence on private platforms.
So stupid. He's just doubling down on his bullshit. It's like the same thing because it speaks a lot to what he's talking about and it speaks a lot to his character. Because I remember a long time ago him getting into beef with two different other commentators, and then when he got to put his foot in his mouth, what did he say? Oh, I was talking about somebody else. Just be a grown up and own your shit. You got emotional. You said people should be taken down. You shouldn't have said it. It happened to you. Be a grown-up and own it. Instead, this donkey doubles down and triples down. He tries to walk back his words like Michael Jackson moonwalking. I got a tweet when we have the actual tweet of what he said. And then he goes and starts hunting down on Google for different articles about me, putting up my Parler stuff. He put up a blog that somebody put up, this guy Nigel, that nobody even knows, and says that I quoted PragerU and shit. I mean, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're really going and looking into my history to try to defame me now personally because on this particular issue you were completely wrong and you got sniped in your ass by what you wished upon us.
Yeah, it's because he was wrong. See, look at this tweet right here. I don't think we should all sit back and fight to protect figures in media. See, so he's basically saying he doesn't believe he should fight against censorship. That's what he's saying. Because he's using this gaslighting technique where he tries to make it ad hominem about the person or the people rather than about the issue itself because he knows he's wrong on the issue itself. So he says that I don't think that we should all sit back and fight to protect figures and media outlets that knowingly incite Americans to storm the Capitol. Many armed. Stupid. He doesn't know, by the way, how many, if any, were armed. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 of them total. We didn't see any weapons. We didn't see any weapons. And y'all were in the crowd, the main crowd.
We were in all the crowds. We went everywhere, Niko. You know us. We went from the ellipse, from that first crowd. We went to the Capitol, to that second crowd. We got ahead. We were listening to Trump's speech as we were walking to the car as he was finishing up.
Hold up real quick. So he goes on to gaslight, a young woman was shot dead today at the Capitol.
I know, like weaponizing her death. Asshole.
That's, brother, dude's a sociopath. And then Glory with the 1-2, of course, the 1-2 punch. Bruh, you sound like Anna Kasparian pushing censorship. Quite frankly, I wish the Convo Couch had as much influence as you make it seem. Then people would really know all about the problems with our elections. Don't play into the security state's agenda trying to get channels taken down. So you see how Jordan was moving. I'm going to bring up Pasta's tweet that he's very proud of.
You know, Niko, I just also want to point out we didn't know anybody there. Like, we didn't see a lot of our people who follow us and shit in the crowd and come up and take pictures with us. It wasn't that type of crowd at the, you know what I'm saying, at the Stop the Steal. The only people we really knew was Steve Poikonen and Jason Burmis and Andrew Ziggy. Andrew
people
Ziggy
that we already planned on being there with, yeah.
But we didn't know anybody. So those weren't people who, like, the Convo Couch said the election's a fraud, let's storm the Capitol. Are you stupid? We were responsible. He said that on his live stream that we were responsible. Like, please, kid, grow up.
God damn. Foster's tweet.
God damn.
Breaking footage of Jordan Sheridan trying to walk back his comments after clearly saying anyone who puts election fraud in the general should be deplatformed. That's hilarious. But it's true though. But he is. He got. And it's funny because he's not the first one who got hit in some way, form, or fashion after cheering for censorship. And I mean, it happened to the Serfs. Mike Figueredo was talking, adding YouTube. Hey, can you put their channel back up? after he literally just said the other day when we were having a discussion, and it was a civil discussion. Like, he didn't come at me any type of way, but he was like, I don't care what specific reason they said they were bringing down Trump for. Like, because I was like, what reason was, or what specific comment was inciting violence? And he couldn't give me one, and he said, I don't care. I was like, well, you should care then, because that vague standard that they're applying to Trump, they're going to eventually apply to the left. Nope. And guess who has been primarily taken down since? Leftist channels.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully for us, it's been mostly the neo-progressive left, to be real. So I'm not actually all that upset about it, but I'm against censorship regardless, even when it happens to Jordan's dumb ass when he asked for it. So, go ahead, bro.
And somebody, Gene Whitworth, put on the Rockfin, Jordan got it wrong, but so did you, Pasta. Stop the Steal was to support Trump, and so did the fraud. Listen, here's the thing, what I'm talking about. The thing that just drives me crazy is because me, at the Force the Vote, and the Assange thing, even pointed out, thank you to Status Coup for showing up for those events, sending a camera. You yourself said it, Status Coup. I said it. And then at the last Force the Vote rally, I went to the camera right when it was ending, and we put this on our show. I said, listen, despite our differences, Jordan, I'm glad you brought out a camera person out here today to cover this event. It was important. So despite our differences, I just want to say thank you. I'm glad you're here, and I look forward to seeing you out there. That was the last thing I said. Once again, trying to always build bridges, squash the beef. Less than 2 days later, when the Capitol was going on, we didn't say anything to him. This cat starts coming out and attacking us. Now, what I want to say to Gene is the same thing I want to say to Jordan. Hey, man, if you don't think that the story is true, that's fine. We have the right to cover it, though. And for you to say that we should be deplatformed for covering what we think is very important, I think it's dangerous, the fact that you're overlooking the fact that this election was rigged, and you keep on saying evidence-free, while when you say that Bernie was cheated, you have less
you don't
evidence.
even provide the actual evidence. When we say Bernie was cheated, we still provide the evidence.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You're never going to have a smoking gun evidence because we don't have the audit or the transparency of our elections to actually show what's going on. All we see is anomalies, abnormalities, voting patterns that are wrong to say, okay, something's wrong. This part right over here needs to be audited, and we still shouldn't be having this fucking software here, and there's other things on it. I mean, there's so many ways to say that these elections are screwed. We think it's very, very important to us. Either way, if you don't feel it's true, why are you going to come at us for covering it and call us jerks and shit?
I want your good friend, Jen. I got to show this tweet because it's crazy. It's honestly mind-blowing to me. I can't deal with this, and I need you to translate from my call. Like, sometimes I speak Caucasity fluently, but every now and then it doesn't translate directly. So Caucasity, yeah.
You speak Karen?
Jen is saying that she doesn't understand. For those of you who don't know, that's Jordan's partner, I guess you could say, on Status Quo.
A partner. She works for Jordan. Yeah.
She works for Jordan. Yeah, that's like her brother. She says, I don't understand why you guys are doing this and not being honest about what has happened. I'm truly baffled about why you are sending people after us. I'm hurt about this. I'm exhausted about this. I'm tired of the drama. I can't say it enough. Why the fuck, first of all, is Jen talking like she's in an episode of The Handmaid's Tale, Pasta? First of all, let me just go ahead and say that shit. Second of all, couldn't this all have been resolved if she would have actually stopped Jordan from smearing y'all to begin with? Because she said that y'all were supposedly her friends, and she thought of y'all as friends. But now
I do too. Yeah. Listen, I do too.
I don't understand why y'all sending people after us. No, bitch, y'all literally send people after us, or you tried to.
I think you made the best tweet. If you attacked,
right here. So
you got to read that tweet, because that hits it on the nose.
Maybe if you policed your guy's atrocious comments as much as you try to police the people he attacks, there wouldn't be any drama.
Yeah,
so that's a pretty fair
she can't
assessment.
do that. Number one, because Jordan's the boss. Number two, I think half of this is coming out because he's her employer, you know what I'm saying? And she wants to show loyalty, maybe. Once again, she's falling into the same trap of saying that, hey, I asked you for the evidence and you haven't provided it and stuff like, well, you can watch a million of our videos that we talk about every single thing. And if you want to meet for coffee or have a Zoom meeting, we can talk about these things.
All y'all do is literally pull up receipts for an hour and a half and cover the receipts.
Yeah.
That's literally.
she's falling into the same trap as saying, well, why are you covering this conspiracy theory bullshit? And once again, it's like, whether it is or not, it's our right to cover it. Why are you so concerned? Why are you so hyper-focused on us covering election integrity?
Why aren't you
election
more
fraud?
focused
Like,
on
what's
the fact
going on?
that Joe Biden
But-
keeps walking
yeah.
back his promises? Why aren't you
Yeah.
more focused on the fact that he literally, like, there were already Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer are working out a deal to basically, once again, neuter the Democrats. So they're going to share power. The fuck that's about. Why aren't you talking about the fact, like that Bernie Sanders about to have to confirm near attending with no fight? Like, why don't you focus on the fact that AOC, after taking, she had abolished ICE at the top of her website, then took it down completely, and then whenever the sterilization situation come up, she put it again kind of in the women rights section, like at the bottom, very bottom corner, where she could still claim that she cared about the issue, but it's no longer her immigration section. And and then yesterday she wants to tweet out abolish ICE, like she doesn't believe it anymore. She's voted to fund ICE multiple times without fighting it, right? Why aren't you talking about this shit? Because the people who are supposedly on your team are making you look really goddamn bad. And yet you seem to be completely and totally unconcerned with this. And the people like Trump supporters, you feel like you have to go out and vilify, demonize, and make fun of and belittle. Emphasis on little, with your little ass. You don't want to reach out to them, but like, you think that they look goofy, but y'all over here running behind AOC like, show us to the promised land. Oh my God. And everybody else is laughing at y'all.
Yeah. And AOC, just to reiterate that shit's dangerous, Niko. It's dangerous where they're going right now. The fraud squad, the Cori Bushes and the AOCs, they're like all about the domestic terrorism, censorship. Anybody who questions elections got to be flogged and shut up. And somebody puts down on the stream over here, this guy Gene Whitworth, right? And he says, did you see the actual evidence from Greg Palast? The fraud favored Trump heavily. Well,
no,
Greg Palast was 1,000% wrong when he said that how Trump's going to steal the election. And you really believe that Joe Biden got more than 12 million more votes than Obama, and there was some fraud included that really went to Trump's favor? Let me just say this much in the election integrity world, because I'm out there talking to activists, talking to a lot of people on both sides right now.
And can I just say, Pasta, literally,
Yes.
There's no one else in this entire country who watches more hearings than Pasta does. Like sweet baby Jesus.
Well, all those Trump people. I know. I watched every single hearing because I knew that's where there's going to be a lot of valuable information to sift through the bullshit. And that's why today, with Whitney Webb coming on, I'm questioning everything. Like, is this one whole thing kabuki theater? Because the things that were distracting overshadowed the actual fraud and rigging and the systems we have to fix on the left, because they said stupid shit like the ghost of Hugo Chavez passed, and that China was really pulling the strings, and that illegal immigrants can really swing an election, when all those things aren't true. And they immediately turn off people on the left like Status Coup and Jen and whatnot, where they don't listen to this stuff. But everything else they were saying was so true. And a lot of Trumpers watched all these hearings like I did. We spent hours and hours watching these hearings because there was some really valuable information from great witnesses and people in software and technology. When it comes to Greg Palast in the election integrity world, he covers one small sliver part of election integrity.
Yeah,
he covers suppression.
Off of it, to be frank.
He's made a lot of money. He covers suppression. And I'm not saying suppression doesn't exist and that sometimes it's not racially motivated, but his theory is that anytime these books are changed, the poll books are cleaned or whatnot, because people move, people die, people do this, that it's automatically racially motivated, whatnot. When I say it's not just racially motivated nowadays, it's more politically motivated. And there's other forms of suppression going on when you talk about the way these drop boxes are put out.
Interstate cross-check in general, and but the main problem I have with Greg Palast is the problem I've always had with him. Even though I respect his research and I respect what he's done, but like, it's clear that whenever it's the Democrats running in their primary, all of a sudden it's, the Democrats are perfectly capable of engaging in interstate cross-check and other forms of election fraud. Then the moment we get into the general, nope, it's only Republicans. They're the only ones who do it. Like, no, Democrats gerrymander, Democrats purge black voters. As a matter of fact, they purge the black voters before they even get to the goddamn general election.
That's the thing. And he admits that. He admitted that on Max Kaiser. He says the actual vote that's trying to be stolen in the general, the Republicans are stealing. The Democrats stole it in the primary.
Okay.
So by default, if you rig a primary, you automatically rig a general. I don't know this fucking theory. Maybe it's because, once again, like I said, I'm a high school kid I have a high school degree, some college, and I'm rocking on this show right now. I come from pool halls where I used to hang out. What kind of schmuck is thinking is going to do half a fucking steal, half a scam? What they're trying to say that they're only treating the primaries, not treating the general, is like saying they're going to go rushing into a bank, clock the guns, fire in the air, say, put all the money in the bag. But before they put the money in the bag, they grab the bags and run out. I mean, that's what your theory is. You know what I'm saying? And there's all these other things that people are bringing up on the chat right now in the Rockfin, which Greg never talks about. He never talks about the struggle for data, the way activists, other grassroots candidates, the people, the citizens try to get a hold of data so they can have checks and balances on their elections, and they never let us have it. They never give it to us, which was the thesis of this last election. Is they never let us have a proper audit.
Challenge to get the data.
Yes. And now in states all around, look at what your secretaries of states are doing. Alex Padilla just introduced new rules which would prevent it would put more roadblocks up. It would be harder to get data on these registration polls beforehand. And pretty much he lets election official or himself, the Secretary of State, be judge and jury and say, I think you're trying to require this data on false pretenses. You're not doing it in good faith. Here's a letter. I'm not giving it to you. So, I mean, he doesn't ever talk about that. He never talks about the software. He never talked about how dangerous it could be, the mail-in system, how it is ripe for fraud. I know the Democrats want us to have this coming to Jesus moment and say that, oh, mail-in's better. It's more about inclusivity. We get more people involved this way. More people can vote. No, when you have to judge an elections by its securities. You can't judge it by the convenience. In other words, you can't sacrifice integrity for convenience. There are too many things that can go wrong when you shotgun these ballots out everywhere on a registration list that hasn't been updated. There's just going to be too many areas ripe for fraud. And then you have the ballot harvesting, which I wish Mike Figueredo would get back to me when he says that ballot harvesting is okay. I'd like to debate him on that. I can walk in with 1,000 ballots.
It just happened in North Carolina and flipped an election.
It's ridiculous, Niko.
By the way, it was the Republicans who actually were guilty of it in North Carolina. So, like, it hurt the Democrats, and it wasn't okay. Ballot harvesting was literally not okay.
And I think people need to get away of this whole kind of mentality that it's Republicans and Democrats. No, it's the establishment. The establishment working together to fix the elections.
Yeah, that's facts. So, let me check out a couple of these super chats really quick. Darren Levy, thank you very much. Emma is comfortable with Biden and the Dems as she has secure employment and access to health care. No wonder she smears people like Jimmy who are actually fighting for others in more need. 100% agree, Darren. Appreciate the super chat. I know there's a couple more down here. Bethlehem, what's going on? Thank you so much for the super chat. I cringed every time Jimmy has him on his platform. Oh, referring to Jordan. Yeah, I know, but hey, look. Yesterday, Jordan did not receive a warm welcome. He was getting ate the fuck up in that comment section. And
it was none of us. It was none of us. It was none of us. We didn't tell people to go there and do shit. We didn't say shit.
I went to the comment section because people were texting me saying, yo, Jordan's getting ate up in the comment section. That's where I went. But yeah, so I'm at, and by the way, the public pressure is likely what caused Jimmy to eventually ask, like, yo, so what's up with this tweet? Because that's when you started seeing Jordan go into full defense mode on Twitter. Because before he went on Jimmy's show, he's kind of like, oh, whatever. Like, I'm just going to ignore him. Because that's what he does when no one notices his fuck shit. But then when he went on Jimmy's show and everybody calls him out in the comment section, and then Jimmy says, well, what about this tweet right here? Hey.
Yeah.
And now you look like a whole ass hypocrite. Like, which is why, by the way, give us information, by the way. If you get new information that may contradict something we've said on the show, we welcome that type of shit. I love it, actually, because I love learning stuff, that like new stuff. I honestly like sometimes being wrong, because if I'm wrong about something, that means I did just learn something new. And I've been giving people the wrong information this entire time, which happens maybe. So, and that goes for, I'm sure that goes for every honest and well-meaning journalist. We appreciate you giving us receipts because it helps us deliver the news correctly. Wit to Wit, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for constantly tuning in to our hard work. But yeah, man, just overall, it's ridiculous that we have to have a debate about whether or not, like, my stance. it is obviously it's very very possible for the Democrats to have cheated Donald Trump. Like, I cannot stress how very possible it is, because once again, you'd be hard pressed to convince me that they went out of their way to cheat. I mean, not just Bernie, they went out of their way to cheat everybody who was even considered to be a progressive in that race. But they are technically on the team of Democrats. So you're trying to tell me they wouldn't cheat the guy that they literally spent the last 3 years trying to commit a soft coup of, like, via Russiagate? Are you kidding me?
And the teeth of Russiagate is what? That Donald Trump colluded with the Russians to fix an election.
It's a goofy ass.
We say this, now we're conspiracy
plot.
theorists.
It's a bad plot in the worst type of 007 movie. It really is.
Yeah.
And yet they're going to look at you and say, well, election fraud doesn't happen. It can't possibly happen. And by the way, let's trust the results of this system and the judiciary, which, by the way, are almost exclusively federal judges making these decisions, knowing that these federal judges are now going to be at the beck and call of the Biden administration. And if they don't play ball, they will lose their jobs. And people don't understand shit like that. That's how they maintain power, is by, like, yeah, your DA is an elected office. Your district judge is an elected office. The federal judge is not an elected office. The U.S. attorney is not an elected office. That is an appointment. You think that these judges are going to put themselves in any type of danger to be fired by the Biden administration when they know that the one thing that they do is not going to overturn the entire election. So they might as well just stay in line. That's what happens in these circumstances. This is what happens with the criminal justice system. And if you can't trust the judiciary system and the criminal justice system, why would you trust the judiciary system in any other aspect of justice? And like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and all the Democrats now all of a sudden are big believers in the judiciary system, right?
Yeah.
The system that they bag on all the time, that it's unjust, it's racist, it's terrible, the judicial system's terrible, and now it's like, well, Donald Trump got all these cases thrown out, and nobody knows better than you, Niko. You're to blame for my craziness of watching these hearings and this election integrity, is because the case that you brought forth in Florida, where they admitted in person that they can go into the back room filled with cigar smoke and pick whoever they want. Well, why did they dismiss that case? Not on standing. And that's what they're going to do with all these other cases. They don't want to touch these cases. So people standing behind that is a reason why the election was actually real and was free, fair, and transparent. The results are actually legit.
It was just jurisdiction.
Not on standing. They didn't want to look at the evidence.
It was jurisdictional, and that was it. And they even said that actually 2 of our classes had legitimate grievances, but because one of them we couldn't exactly they couldn't. That's what they said anyway, right? They said that they couldn't determine whether or not the jurisdiction was legitimate. That's why they dismissed the entire case. It was basically bullshit. Okay. Yeah. And of course, once again, the DNC fraud lawsuit goes to the Supreme Court, and right as Joe Biden wins the nomination, guess who gets the case to determine whether or not it will be heard by all the judges? Clarence Thomas. Exactly. Bruh.
Exactly.
Like, I'm sure that's a coincidence, right? I'm sure it's a coincidence. So, like, I don't want to hear about the judiciary system that has almost always they've always gotten rid of these political lawsuits. Whether you do it in advance, whether you do it, and I'm not saying don't keep pressing the system, because eventually one does get through. Pasa can speak about a couple of victories that he saw. We saw Tim Canova, get Brenda Snipes convicted of destroying ballots in his race against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So some of these things do work out, but like, just because a blind squirrel found a nut today doesn't mean he's going to find one for the rest of the week. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't want. It's just a bunch of hypocrisy going on. I don't want to hear these Bernie supporters who are very like, oh yeah, 100%, yeah, we know Bernie got cheated, and then like the moment that Democrats who have made it very clear, we like with the Transitional Integrity Project, like they made it very clear, we are willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to get Donald Trump out the White House, even if we have to do something illegal, even if we have to commit treason to do it.
They wouldn't stop nonstop 4 years with Russiagate. What makes you think? And this coming to Jesus moment, we see they cheat time again. And somebody just put something interesting up on the chat over here. Was it at AREM? It says during Democrats were begged to legislate election integrity during Obama's presidency, but they refused. Yep. Even Amy Klobuchar and what's her name? Green Bombs Warren were talking about these machines being so wrong and we ignored. Joe Biden talked about the system. We put a little clip up there about, the way we shouldn't have software out there that is owned by other companies that we can't see what's going on. I mean, this is something that's not new. And since the 2016 elections, things have gotten worse. They haven't gotten better. They have more ways to hide their nefariousness. And I mean, and you're going to sit here and say that you're going to stand behind these results as legit, that there's no way in your mind when you don't even understand voting patterns. You don't even understand how the system works. Like, these people really think they're being told by Chris Cuomo that mail-in ballots favor Democrats over Republicans. They haven't historically. Historically, older people, which tend to be more conservative, have requested mail-in ballots over younger people. Younger people like to go out, get their sticker, do it, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
get their sticker.
They don't even understand what's going on.
Will hit you with the OK boomer right there.
They don't understand how the votes are counted, Niko. They don't. They really think that all the mail-ins come in last. No.
Yeah, I know. Like, no, that would be absurd.
A video of 2 million freaking mail-in ballots 2 weeks before the Los Angeles elections have been processed through the machines. There's a whole lawsuit on it.
Okay.
People don't know what the hell's going on.
Oh, jeez, we done got Pasta started, y'all. Hold up, Pasta. Hold up, Trap. Let me. I want to show them this. Just Sam Cedar exposing himself. So y'all know that me and Pasta were both at the Force to Vote rally. We both spoke there. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was great connecting with a lot of these progressives that we hadn't met before, and especially given, just the circumstances of the last year. It was good to kind of be reunited with everybody and then meet some new faces. But, people like Sam Cedar didn't like Force to Vote. He did like it at first. Then AOC didn't like it, and now Sam Cedar doesn't like it. And of course, all of a sudden, he's changed his reasoning. At first, it was because Jimmy's an asshole, but actually, now it's about moving for a People's Party, even though moving for a People's Party was not who created Force to Vote. Nor are they the ones who actually organized the event in D.C. They just had one town hall, so they took a part. They were a part of it, but obviously, originally it was Jimmy's idea, and then Jackson Hinkle was the organizer. So Sam Cedar had this to say though. Okay, he said so because of some messages that came out, where basically they said common sense shit like, if Justice Dems worked, if reforming the Democratic Party from within worked, why form a People's Party outside the Democrats? It's not working. So that's why they even have the lane that they have right now. Somebody said the Force to Vote fails because not enough so-called progressives or Justice Dems back it. Then MPP has more of a case to make about the necessity for building a third party instead of electing Justice Dem. And it's a bunch of shit like that. I mean, this is all sound logic, people. This is all sound logic. Okay. So in response to this, Sam just shows his whole ass. Perfectly legitimate strategy. If I were trying to build the next iteration of a third party, as opposed to leveraging existing mechanisms, more mushmouth bullshit, to deliver material benefits to people. But for those who ask why I abandoned Force to Vote when I realized what it was or had become, I'm not. I'm assuming that he means he doesn't regret abandoning it. That's what I imagine he means. But basically, what Sam Cedar is telling you here, guys, is that, if it means I get to protect the Dems, then I'm okay with you guys dying without healthcare.
Yeah.
Is that what you get from that? Is that your takeaway? 'Cause that's my takeaway.
That's pretty much what your takeaway. We talked about this on the show yesterday, too, as well. You know what I'm saying? It's just, these guys are... where's the email that they're all getting to stay on the same page? You know what I'm saying? All these neo-progressives. Where's the goddamn email that David Pacman, that Sam Cedar, that, your boy David Dole, who already had brunch. Where's his email? I like to see their emails. Because they're all in the same, just, I don't want to start cursing. Little just, grow up. Little babies. These are like 6-year-olds.
But it's not about, I wish I could even say grow up, but it's not about, the pettiness as much as it is. It was, finally, I got a legitimate excuse for why I was unsupportive of a damn near, bro. Once again, I cannot stress enough how much of a slam dunk this shit could have and would have been. Because AOC, Barbara Lee, and Cori Bush, for the first time in probably history, had all of the Democratic establishment by the balls with those 3 abstention votes. All they had to do was ask for health care. And if they would have been like, well, we're going to abstain. We're not going to vote for McCarthy, but we're going to abstain. They're like, well, what if it means, but effectively you're giving it to, well, what's the worst thing that he can do? Not give us health care in the middle of a pandemic? Other than that, he'd be neutered because he would be the Speaker of a House in a House full of Democrats. So at the very bare minimum, things wouldn't get worse. at the very bare minimum, because he won't be able to get anything done. Okay?
Why couldn't these people at least fake it?
I don't know.
They're gonna go, Nancy, let's just put on a little scene. You know what I'm saying? Let's just fake it. Nancy, we told her about our concerns about Medicare for all. We're listening to the Force to the Vote people, and she says she's going to consider it. Not just consider it, but strongly consider it. They couldn't give us a little bit of bullshit.
Energy out of
They were in your face saying, no, you get nothing. You lose.
And you better
now,
like
good
it.
day, people.
And if you criticize me, it's violence.
Yeah.
And you better not attack me as an ally. I'm like, well, what if we don't get what we want? Well, then you just don't get what you want, but you better not attack me as an ally, or you might not get what you want. Like, what? Come on, bro. Like, it's ridiculous. If these people were on our team, like this, and once again, people ask me why don't I criticize the Republicans more? Which, by the way, I do a pretty good amount of criticizing the Republicans, but really, they're doing what they do in lockstep all the time. So this, a lot of how they act is not surprising to me, but. Yeah. I have people looking to me as a black person, as a leftist, claiming they want to recruit me into the Democratic Party, constantly telling me they're going to give me what I want, raising money off of supporting the policies that I support. And then whenever it finally comes time for them to do something about it, they come up with every excuse as to why it's not the right time. That's why. Because I'm tired of people being given false hope so that it kind of like disarms them, and they're like, well, I don't want to attack them because they're the only ones giving me what I want. So I can't be mean to them because then they'll lose their mandate. And then they don't get what they want. And then they're like, well, okay, so next time I'll criticize them because there's no one else who will give me what I want, because at least they're saying things I want to hear. Then they get let down again. Well, next time. Like, no, fuck that. Next time is what's got us here. Next time is what's got us Trump. Next time is what's got us fucking Joe Biden. So who do you think we're going to get next time?
Yeah,
probably Trump again, honestly. But
I think it's funny you always get trying to get recruited by the Democrats. The Libertarians try to recruit my ass. You know what I'm saying? They're coming to me, hey, pasta. Too. Come on now, get your ass over here, freedom of speech guy. Come on in. You know,
Libertarians recruit me too. They do, but they're not as hypocritical. Like I can sit down and have a conversation with a libertarian, and we might disagree on some economics, but usually when we get down to the nuance, we for the most part agree on almost all things.
Yeah, well, I mean, inside the Libertarian Party, I guess you can start your own caucuses. So there needs to be a leftist Libertarian caucus. I hope someone starts it over there. Yeah,
there actually is one. I found that out like a couple months ago. Yeah, but you can do the same thing in all the parties. It's just, once again, whether or not they'll actually listen to you. But yeah. I find it interesting because with Sam specifically, Sam is known for literally tagging or just mentioning Jimmy in every single one of his videos. Oh my God. Like, he has a whole career on YouTube based off of smearing Jimmy. That's how he got the majority of his initial followers. And that was because, like, Jimmy at one point had like half of his subscribers and was crushing him in views. And actually, I think that Sam is actually still slightly outpacing Jimmy by a little bit. Maybe not anymore. But either way, Jimmy is still crushing him in views.
Yeah.
And they're both, I found out a few months ago, or about a year ago now, Sam's a comedian, which I didn't know, because the dude is like
not funny
and at all. Like,
he's
I didn't know that
cringy.
he was actually trying to be funny when I watched his videos, but apparently he's a comedian, guys. And I can't think of the last time that Sam Cedar sold out an entire theater like Jimmy has, sold out across the country like Jimmy has. Yeah. Or get some of the most prominent voices.
If you go to his page, Niko, and you look at his videos, the only videos that get a lot of views are the ones that have Jimmy Dore in the title. So it's Jimmy Dore people going over to watch what this donkey has to say. I mean, this guy he's past the point of irrelevancy. I mean, it's...
And yeah, it might look like, because, these people got, like, Sam Cedar and TY2, like, they got AstroTurf, like, they got bot farms. That, like, they have partnerships with YouTube protects them, and that includes making sure they're seen first, making sure they get likes, making sure their ratios are straight, like all that shit. That's what YouTube does for them. But don't get that twisted with actually being influential and relevant. It's not the same thing. Like this idea that like if they wouldn't be attacking Force to Vote, if by their standard, it would look like that's too far down to punch. Like, why are you punching down so hard and so far? But that's because, despite what these numbers will show you, the relevancy of the two audiences are closer, and the influence are closer than what you would think they are. That's why they're attacking us. That's why they're going even harder at Jimmy. That's why Jimmy ends up on Tucker Carlson. That's why you're starting to see the smaller channels with the right messages, but they're just newer channels getting attacked by blue checks out of nowhere because the conversation we're having is becoming the normal conversation. The advocacy of the issues that we are fighting for is becoming the conversation. The policies that we're fighting for is becoming the conversation, and people are being able to sort out, for the most part, real from fake. The real ones, I should say, are being able to sort out real from fake more than ever before, and it's making these motherfuckers nervous.
It's scary too, because if you listen, we had Glenn Greenwald put up some tweets just kind of like putting a microscope on a lot of the censorship that's being talked about in the mainstream media, and we put on this clip from CNN which had this Facebook employee, executive of sorts, and he was just talking about a lot of these YouTube channels and these other channels are getting more views and likes than cable right now, and what we have to do is find a way to herd these people back into the mainstream.
Actually,
and it's like, wow, they're getting scared, and that's why they are attacking, and that's why you see what's going on in Congress right now when they're trying to just simply pit people against each other. But Niko, I want to point out something about Sam Cedar before I forget.
Please.
Sam Cedar's show just reminds me a lot about Joe Biden's campaign run. When Joe Biden won, I was like, man, how can this get any worse? Kamala Harris, you're the vice president. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, shit.
I went on to Sam Cedar. I said, how the hell can this get any worse? Sam Cedar's got a new co-host, Emma Vigilant. It was like, oh my God.
Emma Vigilant.
I mean, like when you just think things can't get any worse.
Me and Mike
Kamala Harris is the vice president. And when Sam needs to get worse, he picks Emma.
Me and Mike had our issues, but he's way better than Emma Vigilant. Just as a co-host.
Is Kamala better than Emma? Who had a better pick? Sam picking Emma or Joe picking Kamala? Let's tweet that out.
Don't put me in that position.
Let's make a poll.
I would say, what's the difference?
Oh,
What's the difference, right? They're both screechy. They're both whiny. They both seem to be obsessed with identity politics, but only when it benefits them. They both think they know, just like Emma thinks she knows sports. Kamala thinks she knows hip hop because she heard her boyfriend listening to a car in the car back in the day. I don't know what the difference is, honestly.
These people make me cringe. They're like so fake, so phony. Kamala has no business being the vice president. Emma has no business having a show. Plain and simple. And I would never say that too. You know me, Mr. Let's build bridge and talk to people. Hey, maybe I should go talk to her. You're like, dude, don't waste your time. And I'm like, yeah, once again, Niko is right. I would have wasted my breath. Thank you for not making me waste 6 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
In New Hampshire, Pasta just walks up to Emma like, Pasta and Fee are standing with me. And we're at some Bernie event. And Pasta, we see Emma, and she every time TYT sees us, they literally go running the other direction. It's actually pretty hilarious. But then Pasta, hey, Emma, what's up? How are you doing? And me and Fee are like, bro, what the fuck? And she didn't even know what to do. She was like, hi. And actually, we were cordial to her for the most part. But this always happens, right? We'll be cordial.
You let us go in front of her, remember? When Ungi was driving? She stopped and she let him go. Yeah. And Ungi's like, well, that's not going to forgive all your awful commentating on Tulsi, but, thank you for letting us get in front.
Yeah, and for the most part, we laid off of them, and, and then probably 2 or 3 days later, immediately, she's attacking us again. And I'm like, bro, are you kidding me? So just like what I said, we were once again, we shouted out status coup at the Force to Vote rally just for having a cameraman there, because we were like, you know what, all the other bullshit, it's more important to bring attention to this than in our whatever personal issues we have between us. And immediately 2 days later, but we're gonna smear you anyway. We shout you out, and then your response is, let me get them deplatformed. And this is why no good deed goes unpunished. That's what they mean by that, in case you're curious.
Do you know how I always feel about Jordan if he just did back in the days with you when he did that shit? And it's, hey man, my bad. You know what, Jordan? Thank you. Because anytime I try to reach out to the cat, it was to build bridges, to talk like, hey man, we have a lot of people that kind of working together, Tina and all this stuff, and we're all cool with each other. Let's build some bridges. That was my only attempt. But any single time I've tried to do that, I've got this little condescending prick talking down to me and, just doubling down on his bullshit. Just doubling down on his bullshit when he said simply, you should be taken down. You incited this. And then the fake rage. A woman got shot at the Capitol building here.
Yeah, like.
And you want to go here?
Bro, I'm still trying to figure out how long you're gonna hide behind.
Do what you want to do. Coverage. You guys suck. I'm inferior. I'm a real journalist. I write for The Intercept, and you suck. Moving on. Was that an imitation?
I'm trying to figure out how long he's gonna hide behind his Flint coverage, bro. They like. Don't get me wrong. I actually appreciate a lot of the coverage that they put out there. But granted, for example, Rick Snyder actually getting prosecuted, that had nothing to do with Jordan. But let him tell it, he'll take credit for it. And I feel like once again, the only reason they love Flint so much because the last claim to fame that Jordan has is Flint. He's basically been wrong about everything else, and even though he's a decent reporter, his analysis is trash. Yeah. But it's white. He has access to Flint, and first time it was via TYT, then it was later through money that he got through a settlement with TYT. He has the money and the access with Flint that no one else could have at the time, and no other independent journalist could have, that was in the field, and so he was able to take advantage of that, and that's fine. But bro, that's all you every time someone criticizes you after you start some shit, you're like, I was just so busy doing Flint, Michigan shit. Those poor black people, what would they do without me? Oh, God. Him and Jen both. Good God, bro. Get the fuck over yourselves. You're not the only ones who've covered Flint. Yeah, you went up to people's houses and you got some cool information. That's cool. And it should be commended. But, that doesn't mean you're an honest actor. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean you're a good person. It doesn't mean that you're doing this to help them. It doesn't mean any of that shit. It just means that you got something right. But this whole white savior, oh man, please forgive me for every other atrocity that I've committed in journalism because I got Flint right. Get the fuck over yourself, bro. It's cool. You got one thing right. You get everything else damn near wrong. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. All right.
I wouldn't even be talking about this cat if it wasn't the fact that he just, not only did he attack us personally, it's what he attacked us on. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I feel very passionate about that. I feel we should always have a discussion about elections. I mean, listen, I myself am working on a guide, a handbook on things we need to fix on the framework. Not talking about any election in the past, just talking about, the fundamentals in which we can fix within the framework and the structure of our elections. I feel very important about I feel it's a very important topic. And for him to just cast it off, it's dangerous, number one, because you're not building a bridge with all these other people who feel they've been cheated. Whether you think you're 100% right standing on your fucking soapbox, you're going to sit there and really just rub the salt into the wound of these people's eyes who feel they've been cheated, and rightfully so. But now you're also saying that talking about the subject is taboo and it's wrong. No, I ain't going to have that shit. I ain't going to have that shit. This is important. And you know what, Niko, so what? At the end of the day, I'm going to appreciate and love the fact that the MCSC network, along with Ben Swan, were the only leftist who really talked about election rigging, election fraud, and know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because moving forward, it's going to be dangerous. And who do they use it against all the time? Whitney Webb talks about the way they use it, the domestic terrorism shit against them. They use it against progressives eventually. People on the left.
Not even eventually.
So by their
tactics, the next day.
Because they're going to use it against you.
What you mean? Eventually. It was 2-3 days later, Pasta.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? This is think about it. All of a sudden they care about, YouTube didn't give a shit about that whole, if you show any video, even a protest with guns in it, then we have to ban it. No. Because at these Proud Boys events and during the Black Lives Matter protests, they didn't take those videos down where they had the militia on the other side showing their guns. So I don't want to hear that. That's a direct result of what we just witnessed a few days ago. Now Jordan's feeling it. The Surfs felt it. There's other well-meaning, good faith YouTube channels and Facebook pages and Twitter pages that have felt it. It was always for us. That's what people don't get. It was always for us, you fucking morons. We have so much history to learn from. But y'all dumbasses want to watch Sam Cedar and TYT and say, you know what? I'm going to listen to what they got to say instead because they're always right. No, they've been fucking wrong. They're going to continue to be wrong. And if you're a leftist and you think that allying yourself with them is a permanent solution, it's going to provide you permanent stability, I can tell you right now, that's not the case. TYT is shit to bed. They're feeling
Yeah,
it right
yeah.
now. Why do you think they're always begging for money? Why do you think Jordan hasn't just passed 100,000 subscribers recently? Why is he constantly begging for money still? Because people aren't actually engaging with him. People don't actually like what he has to say. For him to have 100,000 subscribers, half the time, Convo Couch is getting more views than he is, or we're getting more views than he is on a consistent basis. Like, he'll get a breakout video every now and then.
We're much nuanced and closer to our audience. And Devo just said, listen to this one. Jordan Sr., Packbach, and Emma Const. He put Mickey Const and them together. Done with all of them. And let me tell you something. Their behavior is so much, the neo-progressive behavior is so much like the establishment. They always punch down. They always punch down. Like, you know what I'm saying? These are people who've been on TYT and have bigger platforms, whatnot, and they're coming after us. No, Mickey Const got on with Francesca Fioretti, Alello, or whatever her name is, and started promoting this girl, the woman you debated, right?
A literal Nazi, that one? You the literal?
I mean, literally. And she's promoting her videos when she's having videos about one particularly, just specifically going after Fiorella. You know what I'm saying? It's like
the irony, man.
These
You
people,
could not.
like, where are these attacks coming from?
If I would have told you that in a video about that where Nomiki claims that fascists infiltrated the left, she attacked Fiorella by uplifting a literal Nazi who clearly infiltrated the left for her own whatever, probably to get some fucking attention. Like, and these people don't get. I'm like, okay, if your radar is that fucking bad, you should have zero following. You can have a platform all you want to, but I am saying you should have zero following. And if you're dumb enough to watch her, then you probably deserve to get everything coming to you, because you're not watching her because you're trying to learn something new. You're watching to get your bias confirmed. You're watching her to watch her dunk on other people that you disagree with or that you don't like, but you're not actually trying to do anything for this movement or for the left or for people. Like, that's bullshit. If you're watching her, it's probably because you're one of the few that are already comfortable. So before I get up out of here, let me read the last couple of super chats. Kush,
can I say one thing real quick, Niko?
Go ahead.
Because it's just about, it kind of intertwined sports. Jason Whitlock, right? He was on Fox the other day when my mom was watching. She made me go watch the clip and stuff. But their behavior, these neo-progressives, are very much indicative of the establishment on the left and the Democratic establishment, these neoliberals. Donald Trump spent about 80% of his time punching up, going after Hillary Clinton and Kamala and Sleepy Joe and whatnot. Every once in a while, I think when he said the radical left, I didn't know if he was talking about some of us or he was talking about the,
the AOC. Democrats, which is weird.
Yeah. I mean, but most of his time he would spend punching up. And Jason Whitlock talked about this. The Democratic establishment, they always spend all their time punching down, always putting it on the people, put it against each other. Oh, the Trump people, they won't want to wear their mask. Oh, the Trump people are domestic terrorists. You know what I'm saying? And these people right here, the Nomiki Const, the Sam Cedars, the Emmas, the Jordan Sheridans, they spend all this time punching down.
They make their money off of pitting people against people.
Yeah.
Because
anyways,
otherwise you have no reason. I mean, you're not gonna learn nothing new from the motherfuckers. You're not gonna learn. That's damn sure not gonna happen. You're not gonna get any new critical thought or analysis from them. You're not gonna learn anything. So the only way that they can keep the money coming in is by making you believe that they're on your team and those people are the bad guys. Except for when there are people actually on your team, if you disagree with them, then you're also the bad guy, even if we supposedly believe in the same things. So, but let me read these last couple of super chats so we can get up out of here. Kush Renata, thank you very much for the super chat. Great coverage, but Jordan talking about Flint is like Al Bundy talking about his 4 touchdowns in one game. After a while, people want more than just Flint. That's true. That is true. I mean, just keeping it real. I'm just saying.
Al Bundy, baby. OPEG.
Wallace West. You can't forget about Last American Vagabond. They've been talking about for absolutely not. Cannot. We
awesome.
You missed it. We had a whole conversation about them in the beginning of the show about how great he and Ryan Christian and Whitney Webb are. I mean, once again, brilliant in all aspects, not just that, foreign policy, election integrity, all that. So
receipts. They always bring the receipts.
Follow Pasta on the Convo Couch and on Twitter at Yo Pasta. Make sure you follow him on the Convo Couch on Rockfin and on YouTube. They are there. Him, Fiorella, and Johnny Mayorga, who does some fantastic work too. Not just production, but also does some great on the ground interviews and is getting the crazy shit that some people are too pussy to go into.
It's the truth, Niko. We had to pull him back. We're like, Johnny, you ain't going up there. He's like, I want to get in there. Like, Johnny, we ain't got our helmets. We ain't got our vests. No.
Johnny an adrenaline junkie. He like, yeah,
Johnny-
I want to go where that
Johnny
Confederate
Adrenaline.
flag is. I want to go where hang out with a Confederate flag. Like,
He's
okay,
like Johnny Adrenaline. That was
Man,
it.
He is, man. So, Pasta, thank you for coming on, man. For everybody else, thank you all for tuning into this live stream segment of me, Kai Carlson. Always remember, more than anything else, find your balance.